metalheads and people joining us from possibly all around. My name is Chance Ellison. I'm the host of this show, Full Metal 5, and uh, we did a double header because, as most of you probably know, uh, we lost a literal giant in the online film community over the weekend as John Snap, writer, producer, creative person, and movie correspondent, passed away. And it's sad and it sucks. But we here from Media wanted to honor John's memory in the best way we knew how by dedicating an episode of our flagship Top 5 show to one of John's favorite subjects, and that is comic book movies. This is going to be about the top 5 comic book movies. And before we start, I just want to talk quick about John Schnepp and what John Schnepp meant to me. John Schnepp, I can't speak for everybody on the panel, but just for me, he was that just out there fun fanboy that I think a little bit exists in all of us. I think all of us can see a bit of ourselves in someone like John Schnepp because he's someone who he went out there and he got to live the dream, got to do what he loved for a living, and John had so much passion for what he did. I never got the privilege to meet him in real life, but I wish I had because he just seems like such a fun, vibrant personality, and it sucks that he's gone. And we are glad to be here to commemorate his memory. And I'm not alone to do this with me today. With me, I have some returning vets of the show and some new people. So first of all, introducing first, he is a member of the admin team here at Full Metal 5. He is a good friend of mine. You may know him as the Sandman. He is Sandy Robinson. Sandy, how you doing, buddy?
I couldn't be more honored to be on this panel. You mentioned a couple of things about what John Schnepp meant to you, what he meant to me. When I first started watching other content other than the Schmodown, I found the Josh McCouga show, and the first episode that I watched was the episode with him and Schnepp on it. And I commented for the first time ever on YouTube, and it was fantastic episode, guys. I loved getting to know you guys, and both of them were the first ever celebrities to message back and say, "Hey, we're really glad you liked it." And all John said was cool. And that was it. And that was just the type of guy that he was. He was just a laid back, really friendly, didn't have an enemy in the world. And from all the tributes and stuff that we've seen coming out over the last week and a little bit, there's no question. John was one of the good ones, and he's looking down on all of us geeks and sweaties and protecting all of us now. So peace, John.
Of course. And next to him, another returning vet of the show. He's another good friend of mine. He is one of, if probably seen every movie we're about to mention here, and some we have mentioned in preparation for Energy Geek to match at some point. He is Robert Parker. Robert, how you doing, buddy?
Great. I'm happy to be back, especially on a list that's as important as this one, both to the community and to me personally. Obviously, a genre that I really enjoy and have gotten knee deep in as far as I possibly could. But yeah, just for the cause, in remembrance of John, for that GoFundMe that he's still doing, for the hospital bills, for Holly and his family. It's really important for our community, I think, that we're doing this, and I'm really glad to be a part of it.
Yes, and I'm glad you mentioned that because if you haven't already, there is a GoFundMe. It's GoFundMe.com/GetWellJohnSchnepp fundraiser. We'll put the link in the description down below. Go donate to that because they could use all your support right now. And also, aside from them, we have 2 new guests from Level 5. I'm so happy that they can join us, first of which he is a guest all the way from down under, and I'm not going to do the Australian accent anymore because he will smack the shit out of me. And that is Jake Marangoni. Jake, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing pretty well. Yeah, it's unfortunate tragedy that's come across for us to be together, but I just hope that today that Schnepp's legacy lives on, and the fact that we're doing this in his memory just shows that he still lives on with the rest of us. And a couple of days ago, I recently saw the Death of Superman Lives What Happened documentary because I was fascinated and in memory of Snip, and it's such a good documentary. Just the backstory behind how that film was made and what happened and why it failed, and like I was just so interested by it. Like I've always been a fan of filmmakers, and Snip's a good filmmaker, and how he kind of looks at both sides of how that film failed. And so I just it sucks that this came across on us, but the fact that we're doing this today just shows that his legacy is still here, and we still remember him.
Absolutely. And rounding out our panel, someone else is joining us. You'd recognize this man as a very important pillar of Take 3. He is an editor over there. He does other stuff, I'm sure. I can't think off the top of my head right now. Sorry. It's Chris Clark, everybody. Chris Clark, how you doing, man?
I'm doing fantastic. If you saw our little tribute to John for the rundown, he really, and I'm going to do the Cliff Notes version of what I said there, is that he just meant a lot to everybody. And what he did and what he did for the community in general cannot be underestimated. So this is for a good cause. Make sure you donate to the GoFundMe and the link to the description, because they do still need to pay the hospital bills and stuff. And he is a huge loss. He's Big John Schnepp for a reason. And so I really have nothing more to add than what these guys said. It was beautiful. If life is just a highway, the soul is just a car. So keep rocking, John. Keep rocking.
Keep rocking, John. It's a sad circumstance that brought us together, but let's, if anything else, let's make it good less just because that's what John would have wanted.
Yeah.
So the way this show works is we curate a top 5 list right here live for you people. And the way this works goes in 3 different selection processes. The first one is the nominations period. What we're each going to do is we're each going to go around and nominate different comic book movies until we get to a top 7. In order for a film to make top 7, it has to get 3/5 majority vote. So I'm going to lead this off with a movie that I think should absolutely make the list. It's a bit of a newer film. It's a bit of a newer one, but I think whether we do this list today, 10 years from now, I think it'll make the list no matter what. And I'm going with 2017's Logan. Logan, I think, is a movie that really just transcends the medium of a comic book movie just to be a great movie in its own right. You have Hugh Jackman as Logan, who was one of the great portrayals of a comic book character of all time, giving his best performance he's given as his character, and he's been doing it for almost 2 decades. And for him to be this good on his last outing is amazing. You also have Patrick Stewart in his last act, Professor X. He's amazing. Daphne Keane, rising young star, great. You have some great dramatic stakes, some it's just a great tone, a great feel, some great direction from director James Mangold. It's the first first comic book film to be nominated for an Oscar for Best Screenplay, and I think this is the comic book film is just as good, if not better, as a certain other film that I'm sure we brought up later. But I think this one definitely has earned its spot on the list. So my first ballot is going to Logan. I'm gonna go to Sandy first. Sandy, does Logan make top 7?
Okay, so I loved Logan. I really did. I thought it was a great movie, a great film. I did not think that Logan was a great comic book movie. I thought that the acting was fantastic. Like you already said, Patrick Stewart was absolutely fantastic as an aging, a mind-addled Professor X who couldn't control his power anymore. I loved that, but to me, it really lacked that comic booky feel to it. There wasn't a real, an over the top or a colorful bad guy that wasn't part of that movie at all.
To do with knife hands stabbing people in the throat.
And I get that, and I love the fact that it was R-rated and everything like that. But I just think that when we're talking about the entire movie history of comic book movies, this is a great film, which should have been. I consider it an absolute snub that it didn't get nominated for at least one Oscar. But to make it on my list for a comic book movie, it didn't. So I have to say no to this one.
Wow, a no for Logan right off the bat. That is insane. I'm gonna go to Jake next. Jake, Logan, does it make top 7?
I wish you didn't. Logan is a good movie, in my
You're
opinion.
kidding me.
I'm sorry, I am not a big fan. My biggest problem with the film is that it's too much like Children of Men, and the peak of the film is the first 5 minutes. It's so much like Children of Men. But that's just like,
I guess.
it's something that's not going to personally affect some people, but it affects me. Like my enjoyment for that film, the peak of the film is the first 5 minutes where Logan is killing a bunch of robbers who are trying to steal his tires from his limo, and it's bloody and it's awesome, but there's just not enough rewatchability for me to continue it. Like, I think it's a fine film, but I don't think it's a great film, in my opinion. So it's
Wow.
no.
I can't believe I'm in a world where Logan already has 2 no votes to not make top 7. It's insane.
I'm sorry.
I'm gonna go to Robert. Save me. Logan,
Jake
does it
and
make
Sandy,
top 7?
I respect you guys so much, but you guys are out of your minds if you do not think Logan is in the top 7 comic book movies. Boyd Holbrook and X-24 are both comic book villains in that movie, along with Pierce, I think, is the other character. The black and white noir cut is brilliant. James Mangold does a great job directing. Marco Beltrami's score. This is an amazing movie. Absolutely deserves to be in the top 7, hands down, if not top 5 or 3. Y'all are nuts.
Thank you, Robert. Thank you. And Chris, that means you are the deciding vote. Does Logan make top 7?
Well, if you watched what we did, the Random version of the comic book movies on Take 3, I really don't like Logan that much. It would be a no from me. I feel like it's a good film as a film, but it's a lot to take in. And as an X-Men film, as a comic book film, I find it very, very not enjoyable to rewatch. And I don't find it as escapism, which a comic book movie should be. And it's a Western movie. It's a Western movie. So yes, goodbye, Logan. Rest in peace, Logan.
What the hell just happened?
What just?
He
What
wanted
just
me to
happened?
panel. Goodbye.
Chris,
Maybe my last episode ever, my first and last. Great.
What just happened? Okay, so I can't believe I'm saying this. Logan did not make top 7. That's insane. But hey, I mean, decisions are made. We move on. So I'm actually gonna go to Chris. I'm gonna go to Chris next. Chris, your first bid for top 7.
Actually, for first bid for top 7 is what I consider to be the greatest comic book movie ever made, and it's another X-Men movie, but it's X2, X-Men United. I feel like X-Men 2 had the best story of any X-Men movie we've ever had, even Days of Future Past or First Class. Also, it had a great villain in Stryker. Stryker by Brian Cox is one of the best comic book villains we've ever had. The backstory, I feel like this I can rewatch and find a lot of enjoyment from. And X2 is just objectively a fantastic film. It sucks that it was followed up by probably one of the worst films ever made in terms of comic book movies, which is X-Men 3. But X2 is fantastic, phenomenal, and I can't sing its praises enough because it gets that a lot. X2, nothing more needs to be said.
All right, so X2 is up for top 7. I'm gonna go first this time. Really sad, the best movie in the X-Men franchise, Logan, did not make top 7, but yeah. I'll take the second best. I give X2 a big yes. I think this is my favorite of the actual X-Men movies. That opening sequence with Nightcrawler just absolutely tease you up for what you're about to see. And you're right. I mean, you get the addition of Brian Cox as the villain, using a mutant to using his mutant son to eradicate all of mutant kind. Mm-hmm. You get the motif that X-Men movies use a lot. I'm not going to blame this movie for it. Of Magneto teaming up with the good guys in the bad guys teaming up. Like, this is a story about mutants all coming together. You get the great Easter egg of the Dark Phoenix, which led to one, probably 2 bad Dark Phoenix movies. But yeah, I digress. X2 gets a yes from me. Cutting to Jake next. Jake,
I 100% agree. X-Men 2 is the best X-Men film, in my opinion. The opening is amazing. I've always been a big fan of Magneto. He's probably one of my top 3 favorite villains in comic book movies, and it was great to see him team up with the heroes, essentially, because at the time I'd never seen any kind of a situation like that before in a comic book movie, and the action scenes, like one of my favorite action scenes in I think any action film is the Lady Deathstrike Wolverine fight. Like it's so intense, and the camera movements, it's insane, and it's got good ideas, and I like Nightcrawler, especially like Alan Cumming, and yeah, it's a good film, and it ends. It's like the Empire Strikes Back of the series with the ending and all, and yeah, it gets a yes for me for sure.
All right, so X2, X-Men United is the first film to make it on the top 7. Sandy, Robert, your votes didn't count, so I'm going to go to you. Sandy, what would you say about X2?
X2 was the X-Men movie that was on my list. So X2 is fantastic from everything that you guys have already said, plus the fact that you got the good guys and the bad guys teaming up, and then you've got that amazing and horrific sacrifice by Jean Grey at the end, which sets up the horribleness of the next movie. But I think we can all agree that Last Stand is probably the worst X franchise movie out there. So, but yeah.
Origins is the worst.
Origins.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, you're right, guys. I just erased it from my memory. But no, yeah. So it's 100% on my list.
Okay, so, and Robert, what would you say about X2?
I actually would have said no to this one. I really, really like X2 as a movie. I think there are 2 X-Men movies that are better. I think this one, the villains especially are really dated. I love Ian McKellen. I love his performance. I love Brian Cox. I like the story being told. I just think it feels a little bit dated. That goes the same with the first X-Men movie too. I think both of those were very good for the time, but I think have been done better in that same franchise.
All right. So,
interesting, Robert.
Well, Robert, you get to go next. You get to give your take because you get the next nomination.
Okay. So when you see a comic book movie, you want to really be transported into a world. You want to see characters that you connect with. You want to understand the hero. You want to have a great villain. You want to have great storytelling. And I think the best story ever told in a comic book movie is Batman Begins. I think top to bottom, there is no holes you can poke in this movie. There is no down moment. The pacing is perfect. The fighting is perfect. You get a backstory in Bruce Wayne that you didn't know you wanted. You get the payoff later in that movie. It's incredibly rewatchable, incredibly quotable. Characters like Scarecrow and Ra's al Ghul all together. Characters like Gordon, who is great. You even get a tease at the end towards The Dark Knight. This is the definitive Batman movie. This is the definitive comic book movie. Batman Begins.
Wow. All right. Well, Batman Begins is on the table. I'm going to go to Chris first this time. Chris, does make top 7?
I think Batman Begins is the best of the Nolan trilogy, far superior to both The Dark Knight and The Dark Knight Rises. But Batman Begins is probably the greatest Batman movie, perfect Batman movie ever made. I have my favorite Batman movie, which I will bring up. But this one is, in my opinion, the greatest Batman movie ever made. The first half of it with the mountaintop and the training thing, that whole section of the movie with the fake Ra's al Ghul and everything was terrific. Liam Neeson is fantastic. The editing is superb. The soundtrack is amazing and enthralling. I can't praise Batman Begins enough. It is absolutely, I will echo Rob's statements. It is a perfect comic book movie, and it's my second. I would say it's the second best comic book movie after X-Men 2. Yeah, Batman Begins is on my list.
All right, Batman Begins. That's 2 votes. Batman Begins. I'm gonna go to Mia because this is tough because because in rewatching I do love Batman Begins. I think overall as a movie, you could argue that as the strongest of the Nolan films, except to get to that last act. That last act, we gotta stop the train before the microwaves make the sewers blow up. That is literally in this movie. Guy stops the exposition for 3 of us in the audience going, "What's happening?" But aside from that, Batman Begins, I'll give that one a yes. Batman Begins makes top 7.
Ooh.
All right, so that is the second movie to make it on. Sandy, Jake, your votes didn't count. I'll go to Sandy first. Sandy, Batman Begins does it make top 7 for you? Would have made top 7 for you?
It would have made top 3 for me. Batman Begins is the perfect Batman movie. It gives you everything that you want. It gives you a great Batman, not a campy Batman, not a rubber suited or gray suit with a blue with the bright yellow. It gave you the perfect Batman. It gave you the perfect Bruce Wayne. The story development is fantastic. Everything about that movie hits on all cylinders. Liam Neeson is Ra's al Ghul. It's so good. It's so well done. Even Katie Holmes, she's in that movie and she's fantastic in it. Something that I thought lacked in the second one because I wasn't a big Maggie Gyllenhaal fan in The Dark Knight. Really? But it is absolutely by far my favorite of the Nolan trilogy. When I mean by far, I'm talking about me doing long jump and Carl Lewis doing long jump distance. That's how far away from the rest of them it is. So yeah, huge jump for me. So because I'll tell you, and it's coming at me for Dark Knight right now. Dark Knight is a great film. It's a great Joker movie. It is not a great comic book movie. It's a great Joker movie. So
Joaquin Phoenix, please don't suck. Please don't suck. But so all right, and Jake, what would you have said?
I absolutely would have agreed with Batman Begins. It is my favorite of the trilogy, and everyone knows I'm not a big fan of Dark Knight. And I think Batman Begins is the quintessential Batman film. Like, you see how he becomes Batman. You see his first mission, Ra's al Ghul, who not a lot of people really knew about before the film, and I like it 10 times more than Dark Knight. Dark Knight's a good crime film with Batman. Batman Begins is a good Batman film, a great Batman film.
All right, so Batman Begins, the second film to make the top 7, and Jake, you get the next ballot, buddy.
Oh, okay. So when you think about comic book movies, I just kind of was thinking of the ones that feel the most like a comic book in the best way possible, and I'm going with Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 2. Not only is it one of the best superhero film sequels ever made, one of the best sequels ever made, you could argue. It developed Peter Parker's character 10 times more than it did in the original. It dealt with the struggle of what it really means to be a superhero, not with just being a superhero, but being the alter ego of Peter Parker. He struggles with going to class and his job at the pizzeria, and then him fighting crime always is the first thing on his mind, and then he's late for Mary Jane's theater play, and then there's Doc Ock, who's one of the best villains in a superhero film ever. It has amazing cinematography, amazing editing. The train fight scene, do I really need to talk about that? It is a great superhero film. It is the best, and it ends with a somber ending that completely just surprised me when I first saw it, and I think it's the best superhero film ever made.
Somber ending. What film did you watch?
The very last shot of the film with Mary Jane, and she's watching, and because the whole point of the film is their relationship. Peter doesn't want the relationship because she could get in trouble and she could get hurt because of his enemies, and then
Wait, did you say Spider-Man 2 or Spider-Man 1? I'm sorry, I messed up.
Spider-Man 2.
That's not how the second one ends, is it?
What's the last shot of the film? It's Mary Jane walking off. They might.
Let's go get him, Tiger. That's how that one ends.
Yeah,
okay.
You might be thinking of the first one.
Yeah, I think you're thinking of the first one.
I'm not.
No, because she runs away. Yeah, no. Jake's right.
Okay,
right.
Sure, but
just
whatever.
No, watch this.
Right, fine.
Yes.
Either way. But in any case, Spider-Man 2 is on the table, and Robert, I'm going to go to you first.
Yeah. So this is the one where she finds out that Peter Parker is Spider-Man at the end of the film, which I think is a great reveal. Jake kind of already said it. One of the best comic book villains ever put to screen. And this movie absolutely needs to be in the top 7. Absolutely the best Spider-Man movie. And I definitely think it's a hard yes for me.
All right, I'm going to go to Chris next. Chris.
110%. Alfred Molina as Dr. Octopus is a legendary. Not just that, this film for a long time was really considered to be, before the Nolan trilogy came out, one of the greatest comic book movies ever made, and I still contend that. It's always been in my top 5. I love this movie to death. I can watch it over and over again, and I find a lot of enjoyment out of it. The only issue I do have is Tobey Maguire isn't necessarily the greatest Spider-Man. He really isn't. He feels a little bit miscast, but other than that little tiny quirk, which is kind of a big quirk, but I mean, it's still Spider-Man, and I like the film regardless, and I find it enjoyable, so I'm going to be giving this one a yes.
Okay. I did get a fact check from the first of all, that does make the top 7. The third movie to make the top 7 so far. And I did get a fact check from the live chat right for Sean Sandberg. The last shot of this movie is MJ and Peter in his apartment. So
Yeah.
it's not, it doesn't end on a somber
Well, no,
note.
Peter leaves the apartment, and then we see a shot of Mary Jane looking out the window at him.
Is
It's
it?
a little somber. It's
Yeah.
a little somber.
Whatever. In either case, Spider-Man 2 makes top 7. Samuel, my vote didn't count. I actually would have given this a no, just for personal reasons. Like, I find enjoyment in one Spider-Man movie more than this one. Robert and Jake know what I'm talking about, but yeah, it would have been a no for me. Sandy, what would you say about Spider-Man 2?
He's talking about Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Oh, seriously?
Okay, so the only issue that I have with that I have with the first 2 Spider-Mans by Raimi is Tobey Maguire. I can only imagine how good we would still be talking about this movie as one of the greatest superhero movies of all time. Biggest comic. If Tom Holland or Andrew Garfield was the Spider-Man in Spider-Man 2. However, Spider-Man 2 is one of the best comic book movies of all time. Dr. Octopus, played by Alfred Molina, you guys have already said it. One of the best villains that has ever been. When people talk about Marvel villains, I know they always talk about the MCU having weak villains. No. Go back into Marvel, period. And Marvel had some great villains, and this was one of them. It was a great. Everybody had more arc. Everybody grew. Everybody raised their levels. James Franco, his character grew, in the wrong way. But it's a fantastic movie the whole way around. I could go on and on forever because it was on my list. Thank you, Robert, for picking it. Everybody else, I'm glad it's there.
All right, so Sandy, you get the last vote in round 1. You're up.
All right, so guys, to nobody's surprise, I went pre-2008 for every single movie I have on my list, except for honorable mentions. So I'm gonna go out right away with my biggest list, and I swear if it does not make it on, I will quit the stream and go away and cry in my boot. But it is 1994's The Crow.
Ooh.
Interesting.
This movie is a comic book property. Go look it up. It has been tried to be remade and sequelized without the main star of this movie. For
good reason.
That's right. The first movie starring Brandon Lee is probably one of the darkest, most entertaining movies throughout the entire thing. I can watch it from start to finish. I don't even know that I'm watching a movie. I just like I'm watching something out of a window of a big city that I live in. The bad guys are great in it. The whole mythology around it, the music is such a big part of that movie, and the fact that it's during the filming of this movie, the unfortunate passing of Brandon Lee during this movie has some significance to me as well, as I met him in my younger days. So, but this movie as a comic book movie does really good justice to the comic book itself. I hope that we're not just picking popularity and box office, but an actual comic book property that does the comic book justice.
Okay, so The Crow is up for top 7. I'm gonna go to Jake first this time.
Oh God, why? I'm gonna be honest. I've not seen The Crow. That's just sorry.
That could hurt. That could hurt.
That's I that being said, I do know what The Crow is and what happened about it, and I mean, it looks cool. It's a good film. It looks like a good film. But based on the fact that I've not seen it, I have to unfortunately give it a no. I'm sorry, Sandy. It's just,
Well,
if
yeah.
I've
Well,
seen
your vote doesn't count in this case because you haven't seen it.
Cool,
Also,
cool.
just love
Go watch it.
Jake's.
That's all I
I
ask.
love Jake's just impassioned kind of defense. Like, it looks cool. But,
What else can I say? I can't really have much to say without seeing it.
yeah, I know. Going to Robert next. Robert, The Crow doesn't make top 7.
So no joke, I literally watched this movie for the first time today. Earlier this afternoon. I bought it a couple weeks ago, and I watched it for the first time today. And I really, really enjoyed it, but it's not top 7 comic book movies of all time. I really enjoyed it, had a fun ride with it. But I think there's more important, more influential, and better storytelling comic book movies that I rank above it. So I did really enjoy it when I did watch it this afternoon. But I think there's more out there that ranks higher for me personally.
All right, Sandy, you better just have that boot ready just in case.
No.
Chris, The Crow doesn't make top 7.
I would rather get Kentucky Fried Chicken than The Crow. I really don't feel like this is really meant for the list. I didn't like that film actually. I've only seen it once. Never liked it. Didn't like it when I saw it. It's sad that what happened to Brandon Lee. It does. It's lure, but I didn't really care for it too much. I've only seen it once though, and that was many years ago. So I'm gonna say no, but maybe if I rewatch it, I'll regret it in the future. But even though my vote probably didn't count.
Oh, you're going to regret it in the future. There's no question about that.
All right. Well, either regret aside, The Crow does not make top 7.
Nope.
And speaking for me, I probably give it a no. Also, I do agree with a lot of things saying. I do love The Crow a great deal. Rest in peace, Brandon Lee. But yeah, I mean, I don't think it's top 7 material. So now we come full circle. We come back to me, and I wanted to go to a movie franchise that I think most closely resembles a comic book, and that is the Marvel Cinematic Universe, of course. And I have a few I can try to pitch on here. And I'm gonna get eye rolls either way. So I'm just gonna go for broke. Go with my personal favorite MCU movie, and I'm going with the First Avengers. And the reason I'm going with this one over other ones because I think this was probably one of the biggest risks for any superhero property to try and build a franchise around solo movies and then try and put all those characters together under one director in one film. It's something that was rarely done, if ever. I guess you can argue Universal Monsters, but there's never been a franchise to build to a film like this. And I think usually a film like this would come out and just disappoint to no end, but for it to come out and for it to be as good as it was, and it should be as good as entertaining. And I rewatched it recently in Build to Infinity War, and I still think it really holds up. I think it gains a lot of notoriety for that. It's one of the most influential comic movies of all time. I think it helped maintain a very successful franchise and also kind of inadvertently started another far less successful one with something else that I'm not going to bring up here because I don't want to sound like a hater. But that's my vote goes to the First Avengers. I can hear the eye rolls in the comments right now. But I'm gonna go to Sandy first. Sandy, the First Avengers, does it make top 7?
Yes. I'm the oldest person on this panel. I guarantee you by 15 years easy. Okay.
Come on now, Sandy. Respect your elder.
I broke broomsticks to have lightsabers or Conan the Barbarian swords. I read comic books. I was one of those early sweaties. You know, I was one of those people. When Avengers came out, I don't know if you ever used this, but John, I'll give you credit for it. It was like a sweatgasm. It was everybody that you wanted in one movie that we'd seen already, this development of movie characters. You know, Kevin Feige, the God amongst men, you know what you're doing. Keep doing what you're doing. But to have all of these characters come together to fight this world-stopping event, to open yourself up to the world and to show everybody what you can do. This movie still, for me, it's still my favorite Avengers. It is, and it just I haven't watched Infinity War enough for it to take over, but the first Avengers for me is absolutely on this list, and it is one of my favorite comic book movies of all time.
All right, thank you, Sandy. I'm gonna regret this. I'm gonna go to Jake next. Jake, First Avengers.
It's the first thing you say. I'm gonna reveal a secret. I'm actually 108 years old. Sorry, Sandy,
wow.
I'm sorry.
Man, Aussie speed is really slow.
Thank you. It's Australian skin. I'm gonna reveal. Well, when I first saw Avengers, I can remember the feelings I had when I saw that. Like, it was pure spectacular. Like, it was exactly what I wanted it to be. And as the years have gone by, I've kind of faded out of the Avengers, and there's just a better Avengers movie, which is Infinity War. Like, I have a feeling an Avengers film is going to make the list, and I want it to be Infinity War over the original. I think the first one is a good film. I enjoy it. I loved it. I thought it was the best film ever made when I was 14 when I first saw it. But I think Infinity War is the best of the three Avengers films. So as much as I like the first one for what it is, I'm going to give it a no.
Okay. All right. So that's 1 no, 1 yes. I'm gonna go to Robert next. Robert, the First Avengers, does it make top 7?
For everything Sandy said and more, yes. That's all I have to say on this one. Yeah.
All right. So that is it. The Avengers makes top 7. I can just hear people tuning out right now. Chris, what would you say about the First Avengers?
Oh, it basically, along with a lot of other things the MCU has done, it is a milestone, and it still hasn't been superseded by any Avengers movie, in my opinion. It's still paced wonderfully. The jokes hit every single note. It's a really perfect symphony, and I think it should be commended, because a movie like that was never made before, and that impact has not been seen since. So yeah.
All right, so the First Avengers makes top 7. I'm pretty sure Polyama just tuned out. I either tuned out, or I'm gonna get a super long paragraph from him later on Messenger, and I look forward to either. So actually, no, Paul, don't tune out. Stay on. You message me as many paragraphs as you want. Chris, I'm gonna go to you next. Your next bid, sir.
Oh, my next bid. I think that I'm gonna go with this one. I don't know how many people are fans of this movie. It's a give or take. You either love this movie or you hate this movie. It is my favorite Batman movie of all time. I think it's the most atmospheric, has the best score. It's the most theatrical. It is Batman Returns. This is a movie where Tim Burton was able to have his complete creative control. And are you guys face palming? Is this just going to be a waste of time?
Oh, no.
Okay, because look, this movie, I know it has a lot of the Penguin and Catwoman are not like they are in the comic. That's true, but it is Tim Burton's vision, and his vision that conveys onto the screen is basically a theatrical play of a director's vision of literally an ink-drawn comic book. Yes, it's not the kind of comic book that you expect it to feel like, but it is a theatrical, gothic, inkwell comic book. And it feels like that, and it's a theatrical production. It's very, very odd. It's very, very unbelievable. It's very, very corny. But at the end of the day, it has a great message about inclusivity. And the fact of the matter is that it's basically Penguin the movie, and everything revolves around that. But it's also about the misfit. And I like that aspect about it, and it's very, very well done. And I am going to get straight nose with this one. I can just feel it. I can feel you guys seething. I can see the I think this is better than Logan. Hands down, yes. This is better than Logan.
Okay. Hold on. Okay, Chris, stopping you right there. Okay,
Yeah.
So a very impassioned defense for Batman Returns.
I love it.
I'm going to go first. I don't hate Batman Returns.
Okay, good.
It scared me as a child. but I don't hate it. There were Happy Meals for that movie.
Yep.
they were not
discontinued them.
Parents were not happy about that. Parents were not happy about that. Neither were children. But my biggest thing. This is topic 5 comic movies. And yes, it's based on comic property, but this movie is like a true testament to the fact that Tim Burton has narrated Batman comic his entire life. So I'm gonna give it, and plus I think we have the best Batman movie on here, and the one I thought you were gonna go with, you didn't go with. So I'm gonna say no on this one. Sandy, what about you?
Okay, so I saw all the Batmans in the theater, of course. So when Batman '89 came out, I mean, we hadn't really seen a comic book movie like this ever. So I love that movie a lot. The fact that Batman Begins is my favorite Batman movie over Batman 1989 should tell you that there's a good chance that I'm going to say no to Batman Returns, even though I really did like where this movie went. I loved how they kept it dark and they kept it Gotham. Say whatever you want. I mean, people are going to rip me to shreds, but I really did like Batman Forever, but I hated the neon turn-up. I hated the colors. I hated how everything, that was what was so fantastic about Batman, is that Batman would show up in all dark, but all you would see is this yellow emblem in his chest, and that was the only color that was there. And they kept that going in Batman Returns, and nobody personified that better than Danny DeVito as the Penguin. He was Oswald Cobblepot and the Penguin all rolled up into one. He played both parts. I think from a comic person like myself, I think he played it, very, very well. He turned it on his ear from the campy Burgess Meredith, kind of Penguin out there. But it still has to be a no for me on this one, even though I give it all the respect that it deserves.
That just killed it. You gave so much passion and you still shot it in the chest. I don't feel like it has no chance whatsoever. Rob, Jay, you guys are probably going to shoot it in the chest as well. I'm sorry. I wasted everybody's time.
Sandy already took that job. Sandy already shot it.
Yeah, Sandy already shot it. We're just beating it more.
Yeah, I'm just gonna clean the gun that Sandy used and just agree with him completely.
So, Robert, I assume you're a no?
Correct. It was also no. I love that we see Tim Burton's vision on screen, but I don't think it works as a comic book movie.
You're a disgusting human being.
Okay.
Love you too, Chris.
Jesus. And all right, so that's a no. Batman Returns does not make the top 7. Jay, what would you have said?
I would have unfortunately also said no, mainly because there's another Batman movie that I would have chosen over Returns. That being said, I love Batman Returns. I think it's amazing. I wasn't scared as a kid. Mr. Freeze scared me more than Batman Returns, but I do think it's not as good as another Batman film.
That movie. I cannot believe you mentioned that movie.
I do really like Batman Returns, just not enough for it to be one of the best comic book movies.
All right, so that's it. So, Jake, you go back to you.
Oh God, I'm between two that I've had, but let's go with the dark horse. It's an MCU film, and Kane McMillan out there would probably absolutely agree with me, and that is Thor Ragnarok. God, I know this is not going to go well.
Oh, I thought you meant like Dark Horse as Dark Horse Comics. Never mind.
No. You want the Dark Horse as in
wait one round.
I think this is one of the best MCU films. It is a great retelling of Planet Hulk. I love the design, the cinematography. Taika Waititi's direction is one of the best that we've seen. The side characters like Korg and Meek are hilarious. I think Hela is a great villain, and Cate Blanchett is hamming it up, as she knows exactly what kind of film this is. I think the humor is exceptional. I love the comedy. I think Chris Hemsworth is having a blast playing Thor. I think it has everything that I want to see in a comic book movie, and that is fun. And it has one of my favorite scores in an MCU film by Devo Mark Mothersbaugh. And I love that score so much, I listen to it all the time. I think it's a great film. It has a great use of Immigrant Song, and the action scenes are great, and I love it. Absolutely love
All
it.
right, so Thor Ragnarok is up for top 7. I'm gonna go to Chris first. Chris.
It's a fun movie, and it doesn't do anything more than that for me. It's essentially a pinball machine on screen. 100% of the time. It's visually appealing. It's very fun to watch, and it's good. It's a good, entertaining movie, but it doesn't have any impact on anything that I've seen whatsoever. I mean, it's a fun movie. It's really fun, and it's a great movie in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But to put it in the upper echelon of great comic book movies, I think would be a serious detriment. Even though it's a good movie, it's essentially a pinball machine on screen. So I'm going to give it a pass, a no, but it doesn't mean it's a bad movie. It's just not in the upper echelon for me. So no for me.
All right, so that's a no from Chris. And I'm gonna go to Robert next. Robert.
Yeah, this is actually a really tough call for me. Because it is on my list. Not incredibly high, but it is up there. There's a couple other MCU movies that I think deserve to be on there a little bit more. But I do think the comedy and the direction that the characters went in this movie were very impactful to the MCU as a whole. We saw that play out a little bit more in Infinity War. That being said, I still have to say no. I think there are a couple more movies that are a little bit more important, a little bit more influential, and just a little bit better comic book movies. But I love Thor Ragnarok, so with regret, I have to say no.
I knew this was
going to me. Going to me next, and I love Thor Ragnarok. Also, it was my second favorite comic movie of last year, behind Logan, which should have made the list, but I digress. And it sucks doing this because I would love to live in a world where this was being a top 7, but I just think there are other movies that deserve spots more than this. So as much as I love a Flash Gordon homage with Thor and Jeff Goldblum, I got to give it a no. So that doesn't make the list. Sandy, what would you have said?
So I'm with Jake on this one. Jake said this one, and he said the exact word, and Chris also said it as well. This movie was fun. When I want to go to a movie, I want to have fun, unless I'm going to a movie that's not fun. But when I go to one of these movies, if I walked out and I had a good time and there's a smile on my face and I'm talking about it, usually I go to these with my wife, and she doesn't like these movies, but she'll always ask me, how do you feel about this? And I'll look at her and say, that was a great movie. That was fun. I had a great time during that movie. So it was on my list of my top ones. So I would have said yeah on that one.
All right. Wow. Okay. Well, Sandy, you get to give your seal approval again because you get the next nomination.
I do, and if I'm gonna keep into my realm of pre-2008 movies that I'm going to educate the universe with, I'm gonna go backwards in time to a time when we didn't have a lot to celebrate, us geeks and us people, and there was this little graphic novel that came out, and about 4 brothers that were trained hard by a ninja master. The fact that he's a rat and they're 4 turtles doesn't mean anything to me, because the 1990 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles live action movie is one of the best comic book movies ever made. It is funny. It is full of action. The bad guy is menacing. He beats them up. Splinter is great. It is a great movie. You can rewatch it over and over again, and there is a line or a word in that movie that every single person knows, that became part of the lexicon of American and North American vocabulary. So 1990s Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, my vote.
Bossa Nova. All right on. So 1990s TMNT is up for top 7. I'm going to go to Jake first. Jake.
I saw this film a long time ago, and although I thought it was enjoyable, it was fun, it's kind of cheap. It's got good stuff, and the only thing I remember about the film is the turtle song that's used in the film because Ethan Irwin uses it as his Schmoedown entrance music.
That's right.
Good
But,
pull.
I mean, I don't really remember much from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles film other than how the ending with Shredder. It's got good ideas, and it's a good. And it was Sam Rockwell's film debut, I believe.
It
But
was.
other than that, yeah, it's an okay film. It looks nice. I mean, some of the cinematography is it's really dark and like just like the comic book. But yeah, I think there's much better comic book movies. You could say it's one of the most influential for those type of dark comic book movies, especially at the time. I think it was like a couple years after Batman. But I think
1 year.
there is 1 year after Batman, or 1990. Okay, I think there are better comic book movies. I do think it's the best Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie we've had. But I think comic book movie wise, there are much better films. So unfortunately, I think it's good. I've only seen it was a long time ago since I saw it, but I would give it a no. Unfortunately.
All right, going to Chris next. Chris.
Oh, Sandy. Like, look, the movies are pieces of garbo, but I love the TV series, and I think there's a couple of two-parters in there with Krang that I wish Krang was in the actual movies, because if Krang was in this, yes, because Krang is perfection. Krang is bae. But I will commend this as being so off-kilter and amazing, and the fact that you said yes to this instead of Batman Returns really burns me to a 10th degree, and it's hilarious. I cannot believe that this piece of garbage is here, and it's great. It's another man's trash is another man's treasure. I'm glad that a lot of people like this movie. I don't know if I necessarily think any of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movies are even considerably even watchable in my opinion, but you know what? If you like the movie, that's fantastic, and I have no ill will towards that. So I will have to regrettably say no, but I'm really good that you're going for the underdog. So I'd have to give this a no.
All right. So,
Oh, come on.
all right.
Propaganda.
Abomination.
Going to me next, and I actually really do like this movie like a lot. Like I genuinely do enjoy this film. I think 'cause I grew up as a huge TMNT fan, and I still think this is the best movie by far. Like it was adult, it was dark. My favorite independent movie of all time. I'm just kidding. I'm not going that far, but it is a great independent film. But I'm still giving this a. Sorry, Sandy, I gotta give one now. I think there are other movies that deserve spots.
My only shot with one chance. My only shot.
I'm sorry, but Robert, what would you have said? See if I had said yes.
I need them.
Different.
I unfortunately would have said no. I think it did actually make like my brainstorming list, but I don't think it's not top 7.
Wait, what movie is this? Sorry, I missed it.
TMNT. It's still TMNT.
Oh, it's
I
still
was just
TMNT.
saying yeah.
Okay, but Robert, you are next, so go ahead.
Okay, so let's set the scene. In 2008, we got one of the greatest comic book films of all time.
No.
I'm not talking Dark Knight, and I'm not talking Iron Man. This is Hellboy 2: The Golden Army. This is a movie. This is my dark horse, literally. This literally is the dark horse. This is Guillermo del Toro's masterpiece, one of his many masterpieces. Every movie he makes is a masterpiece. This is my favorite of his work. This is a fairy tale that is woven into comic book storytelling, that is fantasy, that is a family drama, that is a great action movie put to screen. If we're talking faithful adaptations of characters, Hugh Jackman's Wolverine is up there. Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man. Ron Perlman's Hellboy is on that list of the most faithful comic book performances of all time. And Hellboy 2: The Golden Army takes everything that was great from Hellboy, makes it bigger, better in every way, and I hope it makes top 7 because I really think it deserves it.
All right, so Hellboy 2: The Golden Army is upper top 7. Going to go to Sandy first. Sandy.
So, as promised, everything below 2008. However, Hellboy 2: The Golden Army is by far one of my favorite comic book movies. I love the first one. First one was fantastic storytelling. Once again, Gelmar just killed it. But Hellboy 2 took it up a notch and made that whole franchise better. Ron Perlman as Hellboy is spot on, absolutely spot on to the darkness, to the feelings that he has of being this person, this thing that can't be out there. Nobody can know who he is. Just bringing that to screen made me happy. So I'm going to say 100% yes.
All right, I'm going to go to Jake next. Jake, Hellboy 2, The Golden Army.
From Academy Award-winning director Guillermo del Toro, the superior sequel is an absolute blast. I'm absolutely giving this a yes. It is a great. I really do like Hellboy 2: The Golden Army. The action scenes, the last 30 minutes is glorious. It's such a different. I totally did not expect Hellboy 2 to be brought up, but I did. It did cross my mind. I think it's a great film, and yeah, it's such a fun ride. It's good film.
All right, wow, Hellboy 2 makes the 5th spot on the list. So, Chris, our votes didn't count. I'll let you go first.
So.
What would you say about Hellboy 2?
It would have been interesting if it did count, because we have 4 now things getting voted in, 3 of which are 2 movies that are number 2 or 2. So there's a magic number with 2, and Hellboy 2 is a fantastic masterpiece. I can't echo any of the others. Yes.
Hellboy 2, Spider-Man 2, Max 2.
Yep, it's fantastic. So yes, I would have. Yeah.
And if I get to my last pick, there's going to be another 2 on there.
They didn't make a sequel to Catwoman.
We'll hold up. Oh, jeez. We'll hold off on that later. But yeah, I probably would edge towards no, but I'm okay with Hellboy 2 being on the list. It was on mine. Wasn't very hot. Wasn't in top 7, but I'm fine with it being on. Now I'm gonna go with my next one. Okay, guys. Let me talk to you about Amazing. Yeah, let's be real for a second. Let's talk about Amazing Spider-Man 2 and why this film is it's way better than a lot of people give it credit for. I just want to see Robert sneer real quick. That's all I wanted. I'm not nominating Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Oh, God.
For half a second there, I thought you were serious.
Me too.
And I was about to punch. I was about to just drop the call.
I almost lost my mind.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was waiting for. But no. I want to go something a little unconventional. This is, I believe, a graphic novel film, which I would still qualify. And it's from a director it's from a film, director kind of doesn't do him justice. He's from a filmmaker that I really respect the hell out of. I think he did a great job with this source material. I'm talking about Sin City. Sin City is, I think they did the best job. It really kind of started the whole trend of making it look just like the comic book. Like, some of the shots, just from an artistic standpoint, are fantastic. It has it tells a story of 3. It tells 3 stories with 3 really great main characters. Talking, of course, John Hartigan, Marv, and Dwight. All 3 are awesome. The style of the film is just fantastic. I think this really people kind of forget about this one because I think for 2 reasons. It's mostly, one. It's mostly because it's a noir, and that's a genre that doesn't resonate with a lot of people, but it really resonates with me. And I think it's really kind of kickstarted the whole trend of graphic novel-based movies. So I'm gonna go with Sin City, and I'm gonna go to Sandy first. Sandy.
Sin City. I think that Chance is right that this movie absolutely stays so truthful to the source material. But I didn't like it. So
Aww.
I didn't. There were parts about it that I enjoyed. There were parts about it that I thought were great. You know this because, and I'm going to take a ton of heat on this one too. I'm not a big noir guy. I'm
Yeah, I know.
more. I'm watching more. I'm trying to get more into it because I know people like you that love this stuff, and I'm trying to get more into it. And my wife is actually a noir fan, so she likes noir movies. So I've actually got a bunch that I'm going to watch, and this is one of them that we're going to watch together. But as far as being on this list right now, I personally would say no.
Oh, come on. A guy gets his nuts ripped out. Whatever. I'm going to go to Robert next. Robert, Sin City. Does it make top 7?
This is an interesting one. I think it's definitely one of the more unconventional choices. I personally think that there are just more iconic, more important, better made, better told story comic book movies out there. I really enjoy Sin City. I think it's a good pick. I'm glad that we're talking about it, and I'm glad that it's brought up. But there's at least one, if not 2 or 3 more that need to make it on here instead, in my opinion. So I'm going to have to say no.
All right. And Jake, you going to be my savior, or are you going to let me down?
Sin City is the most beautifully shot comic book movie ever. Every shot from that film looks like it was taken from the graphic novel. Each shot is like a painting in of itself. So for the cinematography alone, I'm giving it a yes.
Thank you, Jake. All right, and Chris, it's up to you. Sin City, does it make top 7?
Oh, it's definitely a yes. You think about what the definition of a comic book movie is. Sin City has great cinematography. It has a great story, and on top of all of that, it just looks like a comic book animated on screen. It's the better version of Watchmen. Watchmen has a lot of flaws, and I think it's a little lackluster in parts. But this one, it kept me engaged throughout the entire thing, and I love Bruce Willis. Michael Clark Duncan is killer, and it just looked gorgeous. So yes to Sin City. You are muted, Chance.
Yeah, I know. Sin City makes top 7, and Sandy, I need you to do me a favor. I got to take off, so I need you to take over the show for me, buddy.
Yeah.
Can you do that? Cool. All right, see you. Have fun.
Thanks, Chance.
Okay.
All right, guys. So it'll be me with you for the rest of things. So Sin City has made the list at number 6. So we have one more to make the list. We're going to go to me this time, as I'm right after Chance's, and this is going to be hopefully my the one that you guys all say yes to. I'm hoping. I really am. I'm gonna give you guys one that's out there. I almost went with the first one, but I'm going to go with my favorite, and that is the sequel, and that would be Superman 2. We have Batman on here, but we need to put some Superman on here as well. I almost went with the motion picture, or with the movie, and then I also almost went with Man of Steel, but I cannot not go with Superman 2. It has some of the best villains. We get Zod and Ursa and Non. We get those guys on there. We get Superman. We get Lois Lane. We get flying. We get poems. We get we get all kinds of stuff. We get awesome strength taken away and awesome strength given back. It's a well-written movie. It's a great directed movie. So Superman 2 for me is one of, if not the best superhero comic book movie out there. And I will go right down from the left of my screen here, and we'll start with Chris.
Superman 2 is a gimme. Yes. I mean, you great villain. So many 2s are on this list. This is insane, but you know what? Let's do it. Let's rock it. Yes, Superman 2 to the end of time. Whoops.
All right, perfect. I'm not sure. He said he was 102 years old, so I'm hoping that he's seen this movie. Jake, what do you think about this movie?
I have seen this movie. I think Superman 2 is better than the motion picture. Superman actually is fighting people who are on his level, and I think Zod is a great villain, and Terrence Stamp is one of the best casted villains in a comic book movie. My biggest problem with the film is the behind-the-scenes stuff during the film, the making. Richard Donner was having creative differences with the studio. Richard Donner wanted to make his own film, and they were like, they were fighting over it, and I think he got quit or he fired. There was a big story that he got fired, and Richard Lester, who I like some of his films, but it's just not rewatchable for me. I'd rather watch the Richard Donner cut. But Superman 2 isn't a film I like to go back to, and I mean, Superman kills Zod and his henchmen at the very end of the film, which I thought it's a cool what he did with the tricking them. But there's just some weird stuff in the film, like his shield, his insignia becomes like a shield or something like that. Do you remember? There's a scene there's a couple of weird scenes, and I think it's a good film, but there's a film that I really want to get on this list, and unfortunately, I do think it's a good film and the best Superman film, probably. I unfortunately would have to give it the no.
Okay. Wait, is there one more spot left or two more?
Just one more.
Yeah, this is the last one.
Wait, it's X-Men Begins, Spider-Man, Hellboy, and Sin City.
No,
Avengers.
And Avengers.
Oh, Avengers. Okay, that's it. Okay.
That was one you were missing. So, Mr. Parker, this is your opportunity to weigh in on an oldie but a goodie. What do you think about does Superman 2 make the list?
So this is the best Superman movie. I am not a huge fan of the original 78 Superman movie. There's a couple that I personally like a little more that are on my list, but I am very happy to put Superman on the list. I'm very happy to have this be the movie that's going to represent Superman on this list. I think the Donner cut is great. So yeah, I'm gonna say yeah. Let's get into the next round of this. I'm gonna say yeah. Superman 2.
No Dark Knight. No Dark Knight.
I'm glad
it wouldn't have made it with Sandy and Jake on. It wouldn't have made it.
Oh, I wouldn't have made it.
You, Chris. The three of you. I didn't even bother. Nope. Chance and I didn't even bother.
Iron Man 2. Iron Man is the one that I think is the only one. The one I had left.
All right, guys.
The only one who would have loved this was the first Spider-Man.
We're gonna start this off right now. We're gonna start getting this. We got two to get rid of here. First off, I'm just gonna go through the list of the ones that we picked in order that we picked them. X2, X-Men is on the list from Chris. Batman Begins from Robert is on the list. Spider-Man 2, another 2, is on the list from Jake. The Avengers from Chance is on the list. Then we get down to Hellboy 2, The Golden Army from Robert is on the list. Sin City from Chance is on the list. And then the final entry was my entry, which is Superman 2. And that is on the list as always. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to pick
And Sandy, I'm just letting you know that Chance asked me to hop on to replace him.
Perfect. Sure. I'm not gonna. You can vote now on the 7, but you're not getting a vote at Superman 2.
Oh yeah, I know.
So if you got something to write on a whiteboard or anything like that, I want.
Gotcha. So we're voting for the 7 right now, right?
Yeah. So
it doesn't matter 7 or 6, just one of them that you want to.
Yeah, just one of the one that you want to have removed off of the list. Put that down, and the most votes will have it removed. And thanks, Harley, for coming on because you'll be you're the 5th person. So
yeah.
So do I just erase the one that the first one that I don't want on the?
We're voting on to
one you don't want in the top 5.
So we're nominated.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Two films to take off.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
All right. Again, we will start. We'll start over on the left. I won't go to Chris. I'll go to Harley this time. Harley, what's your vote for the first one to be moved off of the list?
Well, in all honesty, it's got to be Sin City.
Okay, 1 for Sin City. Robert.
Sin City.
Oh.
All right, and Chris.
It's the lesser of all masterpieces, but Sin City.
All right, Jake, what'd you have?
I was gonna put Hellboy 2.
All right. Well, I had Sin City on my list.
Almost a
Sin City
sweep.
is now number 7. All right, so now we're going to pick one more that we want off the list and won't be in our top 5. So pick your next one.
Who's nominating, Sandy?
Hmm?
Who's going to nominate?
No, just the next one that you want off.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no.
nominate the next one you want off the list.
Oh, yeah. Normally, how we do it, we nominate. One person nominates and we vote.
Oh yeah, no, I'm yeah. Sorry guys, I'm switching this
sorry.
up. We're just
No,
all
it's
gonna
fine.
vote until
We
we
already
get to
started
the next
this one.
5. So
No worries.
oh, this sucks.
Unfortunately,
you
for
be
me,
honest with yourself.
there's 2 out of these. No, that clearly don't make top 5.
Okay, let's go to Jake first. Jake, what's the next one you want off your list?
Well, I've got to go Superman 2.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
Robert.
Superman 2.
Oh, you guys are killing me.
Cereal?
All right, so I'm next, and I put Spider-Man 2 down.
Oh,
Wow.
You guys are all crazy.
Yeah.
Let's go to Chris.
Hellboy 2.
No way.
Damn.
Yeah.
Harley.
Yeah, it's up to
I'm
Harley.
with Hellboy 2 too.
So there's a tie.
So Sandy has to change.
Oh, God.
I'm the
Oh, come on.
Come on.
I know a couple of people over there that put Superman 2 down, so what am I going to do?
What the
Politics.
What were the 2 choices?
Hellboy
Hellboy
2.
2.
Hellboy 2 or Superman 2.
Okay, can I just make a case? Sandy, Hellboy 2 is a exponentially better film than Superman 2. The
Photography is better, the editing, the direction.
The storytelling, the script, I love Superman 2.
But is it more of a
much
comic book movie though?
Yes, it's a much better.
Absolutely, it's got fantastical elements like the underground city with all the
Sandy,
trolls
what's your
and
answer?
everything.
Yeah, but you betrayed Sandy's trust.
We know what Sandy's gone with anyway.
Yeah.
My answer is, and not on the list for this comic book list, Superman 2.
What?
Yes!
Hellboy 2, The
Rightfully
Golden
so.
Army is
Hellboy
a
2
far
is a better
superior film.
Sandy, you are the man.
Okay, now we're doing the top 5.
Now we're doing top.
Alright.
But Jake and Robert, somewhere down the
Yeah.
line, you
Basically,
I know you want Sandy.
But right
Yeah,
now, we need what you consider the 5 out of X2.
number 5. So right
The
now,
number 5.
yeah, I got it, Harley. Don't worry.
Okay.
So, so what's left is X2, Batman Begins, Spider-Man 2, The Avengers, Hellboy 2, The Golden Army. So I want your number 5 pick, guys. Number 5.
This is tough. We have great movies here.
Is it?
This is at least number 5. Really,
This is very, very difficult.
really
I
5.
feel that's going to get most difficult when we get to the top 3. 5 and
Yeah.
4.
No. I'm pretty sure one
No.
is already sealed at this point.
In all honesty,
Yeah.
the top 4 is going to be difficult. Top 5, not so much.
All right, let's go with Robert first this time.
X2.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Wow!
Hellboy 2 is a better movie than X2.
Oh my!
It is.
No.
Kidding me?
Let's go to Chris Clark.
You bitch! I said Hellboy 2.
Oh. And Harley.
I'm going to quote an arch enemy here. You bitch. Hellboy 2.
All right, and Jake.
My doesn't count. I just said The Avengers.
And mine doesn't count either because I said Spider-Man 2. So
Burn, Robert.
Hey, that's all right. No, I'm fine. Guys, X2 is a good movie. I really like it.
But I
just
guess
think
not as
Hellboy
good as it's not as great as Hellboy.
all right,
agree.
so Hellboy 2, The Golden Army is number 5.
Oh god.
It's in the top 5. That's all I'm
Yep,
happy.
absolutely.
That's not fair.
Now Robert's gonna keep
That's
voting
fair.
for X2.
I am. You're right. That's because I think these other 3 movies are better.
And that's what we're doing next. Exactly. Put your number 4 down, guys.
All right, this one I think is appropriate.
Yeah. Love your rational thought process there, Chris.
All right. Has everybody got their stuff ready?
Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to go first this time, and I've erased it 3 times and had to rewrite it, but I am going to once again say Spider-Man 2. Let's go to Harley.
I'm Batman.
Batman Begins.
You think Batman Begins is number 4?
Okay. So
Number 4 out of this list here, yes.
Let's go.
Oh my God.
What do you got, Jake?
I put the Avengers.
All right. So we've got 3 different answers right now. What do we got for Robert?
X2.
All right.
Whoa.
And
That's cool.
Chris.
I'm so glad X2 was saved because I voted for Avengers.
What? That's
So-
fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
Thank
So
you, Chris.
Avengers is number 4.
Oh.
Always go to me last because I know everything better than all of you guys.
No, you don't. No, you don't.
Didn't you want to put like Batman Returns on this list or something?
Yes.
Well, I would have put Batman Forever. Howard the Duck, actually.
Oh my God. Batman Forever is actually worse than Batman and Robin.
All right. So our
Oh,
final
no,
3.
no.
We're voting on number
All right,
3 right
let's
now.
do
Our
this,
final
yeah.
3:
Stay on the topic.
X2, Spider-Man 2, and Batman Begins.
Those early 2000s Marvel hanging in there strong.
Yeah.
So we're doing number 3 right now, right?
Number 3.
Yeah.
All right. This list is amazing.
I love it. I love it.
It's chaos.
All right. We are going to start this time with, let's go with Chris this time.
Poor Alfred Molina is great, but I put Spider-Man 2 at number 3.
Wow. Oh my God.
Harley?
Batman.
All right. Let's go Jake.
X2.
All right. And how about you, Robert?
X2.
X2.
And what do I have on my board?
Spider-Man 2. We know it.
You.
Oh,
Yes.
So it's-
absolutely, Sandy.
I'm glad
Wait,
it's 3.
gone.
All right.
All right.
So right now, guys, so I make sure that I don't screw up again. I'm gonna say
Writing number 1.
Right, number
Number
1.
1.
Number 1. This
Between
is the
Batman
number
Begins and
movie,
Spider-Man 2. What's the
and
best
we are
one?
going to
That's interesting.
Spider-Man 2 and
Is this-
Batman Begins.
This is going to be a blowout. Jesus.
These were, by the way,
You
these were
reckon?
released within 9 months of each other. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Spider-Man 2 was released in 2004.
4. I remember seeing it. In
Oh
the
yeah,
cinema.
I'm thinking Batman Begins was released in 08, but that was
2005.
somebody has an ice cream truck.
I was just gonna say that.
Robert, he's getting some ice cream delivered. He's got Skip the Dishes is coming with some ice cream for him over there. All right, we're gonna start with Harley. What did you vote for number 1?
Number 1, the best comic book movie of all time. Howard the Duck.
God Almighty.
Yes,
What's your real
absolutely.
vote?
Spider-Man 2.
All right, so that's 1 vote for Spider-Man 2. Chris Clark, what did you vote for the number 1 movie?
I loved both of them, but I went with the perfection of Batman Begins.
1 vote for Batman. Jake,
It's the best superhero film of all time, Spider-Man 2.
that's 1 vote for that's 2 votes for Spider-Man 2, 1 for Batman Begins. Robert,
Batman Begins. There you go.
Batman
Robert's
Begins.
my-
Batman Begins is the
Rob-
number 1.
Robert's my best friend.
all right,
Oh my
so
God.
here we go. Sandy Sandman Robinson,
Come on, Sandy.
your
Sandy,
impromptu
come on.
host, has the winning vote in his hand right now, and this movie is the perfect comic book movie of all time. I gave it all the props it needed to at the beginning of this whole thing, and that would be Batman Begins.
Ooh.
I knew it.
I'm so glad we did a comic book movie thing without The Dark Knight.
And we lost Robert.
And we lost Robert. You know why? Because
I'm so happy that he left.
he just dropped.
All right, so
My long-windedness there, given my last answer, he was itching to get up and answer the door. All right, guys. You know what?
Drum roll, please.
We've had an excellent day today. We're going to drop down our top 5 as voted on by this panel here, -2. And we are going to number 5, Hellboy 2, The Golden Army. Number 4, and I can't believe it didn't get further up the list, but Avengers. Number 3, X-Men 2. Number 4, Spider-Man 2. I'm going the wrong way. Number 3, X2. Number 2, Spider-Man 2. And the number 1 comic book movie as voted on by this poll. Please comment and like and argue about our list in the bottom. But Batman Begins is the best movie, the comic book movie that we have chosen as a committee on this list. I want to thank everybody for showing up tonight. I want to especially thank everybody who's been watching and donating to the link that is, in multiple descriptions over multiple websites. Please go to that website and donate as much as you can for Holly and for the Schnepp family. We want to send out once again our extreme condolences to everybody involved. Holly, we are praying for you every single day. The Schnepp family, none of us can at any time express just how we are all feeling. And to the crew at Collider, we know this hit you guys exceptionally hard, and we are, as a community, all here for you guys. And please donate as much as you can. Anything will help. This has been the first thing that we're doing this weekend. We have a bunch more stuff that's going up. Again, Friday night we'll be doing a live Full Metal Geek match. And if you check out the description down here, you will see everything else that's going to pop up over this weekend. We've got a lot of good stuff coming up. So please donate what you can. Show up, like, comment, do everything you can. We're here for you guys. For Jake, for Harley, for Chris Clark. I'm for Chance Ellison. I am Sandy the Sandman Robbins, and for Robert Parker. Thank you so much for being here. And like always, have fun, watch movies.